Guys, I bet there's not a single one of you that doesn't know who John from Arkansas is. We all know John from Arkansas. If, in case you're the one person who hasn't heard of John, you go out to YouTube and you'll find him. He's on channel Joe Earn 1. Okay, that's how I say it. Everybody says it their own way, I'm sure. It's Joernone. Okay, this guy is the guy probably the most responsible for me getting a strong interest in radios and restoring old radios, and a strong belief and confidence that I could actually do it. Okay, that was always something that really smart guys did, and you know, average guys like me, that's not something I should be doing, is messing with things like old radios. But I watched John, and he talked about it in a way that made sense to me, and made it so that I believed that I could do it. And after watching a few of his videos, well, what the heck, I already had some vintage radios around. I said, I can do this. Went out and bought myself some small equipment, a soldering station, you know, and I already had a voltmeter and a few other things, and I went to work. And the first radio I ever restored was a Zenith 8S463. If anybody knows about, you know, the old black dial Zeniths, you know what that radio is. Probably not the easiest radio for a guy like me, a newbie, to restore, but I got through it. I got through it partly because of the pep talks that John routinely gives folks as they're working on radios. And I have a lot to thank John for helping me out. So that's a shout out to John from Arkansas, Joe Earn 1. Go John. You're a big help to all of us. I don't know if you realize what an inspiration you've been to some of us who've really gotten into the hobby. Let me show you something else that John's inspired me on. He has been working on, if you've been watching John, you know, he has lately been working on a jukebox, a really cool jukebox, a Seaberg from 1961. I happen to like that period because a lot of them were stereo at that time, and high fidelity had a chance to really take root, and it was reflected in the jukeboxes. Now there's a guy in Ogden, Utah, not too far from where I live, who restores old jukeboxes as a business. That's his main business. He restores coin-operated equipment, but about the majority of them are jukeboxes. Occasionally, the folks he usually works with, they get tied up, or he gets a backlog, or maybe he just wants something special. He'll have me do the amplifiers for those. So I've done a bunch of Seabergs, I've done a bunch of Rock-Olas, even a few Philbins. It's been a lot of fun doing that work, and I learned a lot, and I began to understand how they get the sound they get. They're really straightforward amps, but they have a lot of punch to them. But what I didn't understand, what I didn't know anything about, was the mechanisms that they're being used in. And I've always wanted to know, and I've always wanted to own a jukebox myself. So let me show you something. Thank you, John, for the inspiration. I have picked up for myself a 1964 Rock-Ola GP-160. This isn't the same as John's by any stretch, guys, but let me sit down and take a look at it with you. But it's a damn cool machine. This thing is nice, man. I really like it. It's in good shape. I mean, you gotta dig this right here, this speaker grill. Guys, the color that you're seeing is no joke. It is bright purple. Purple's my least favorite color, but I don't care. It looks pretty good on this machine. And I love how it says Rock-Ola over here. And the thing is, the guy that I bought this from, he's a friend of mine. He's retiring. He owned an antique store that he's closing down, and this was one of the things he was getting rid of. He sold it to me for a song. It was a wonderful deal. I couldn't walk away from this. I paid $100 for this thing. I couldn't walk away. And it was working until a couple of weeks ago when he moved it from one place to the other. He said everything works, but the tone arm will not move to the position. I'm sure it's something fairly simple because he said it didn't take any hard hits. He said it probably just got something thrown out of whack with the mechanism. I'll get in there and fix that. But this is cool. Let me show you some details on it. Let's zoom in first off a little bit closer and take a look at that. Now, you tell me where you think this jukebox was. I can tell you where I think it was. Yeah, this thing was in a country and western bar. I mean, is that cool or what? I can just hear it now, man. I can just hear, you know, you're putting in your quarters and some Ronnie Millsap comes on, or maybe a little bit of old Elvis. I mean, it's great stuff. Great stuff. I grew up on the music that are listed in some of these songs that are listed on here. You know, Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton. Who doesn't love those people? And, okay guys, I'm going to tell you a little secret about myself. A major heartthrob for me when I was growing up is this lady right here, Olivia Newton-John. This lady to me was a goddess. She's still a goddess. I still love her music. I still think she's the most beautiful creature. And I'm so happy to have these pictures on here. My mother loved Elvis Presley. I love Elvis Presley. I think he had a great voice. And so I'm going to leave all three of these pictures here. I'm a big Kenny Rogers fan. One of my favorite romantic songs for my wife and I is one called Lady. Now, if you don't know that song, guys, you need to go get that song, go listen to it, and then you play it for your sweetheart because she'll love you for it. Anyway, those pictures are going to stay there. This is a metal perforated metal sort of panel up here. I'm not sure what it does, but there's a light panel down here, and this is glass. This is glass too. This isn't plastic. That's glass. It's got this awesome brushed aluminum panel up here, and that looks really cool with the little windows for the numbers and letters. These buttons are kind of a translucent plastic, but this panel contrasts with this panel, which is really smooth. But I like this panel because it's very colorful. It tells you what the machine is. Tells you who made it. It looks really nice. And then finally, yikes, it's almost startling. The color of this speaker grill panel is mind-blowing. But it does have the beautiful Rock-Ola, this Rock-Ola handle down here. This is a handle, right, for opening this door, and with the logo on it. It's all in excellent condition. All these trim bars, all these trim pieces are in good condition. Everything's in good condition on this machine. I'm really thrilled to have it. For what I paid, it's really hard to believe I got away with that. So let me show you how we lift this top up. Now, I'm still learning about this, and I don't have a book or anything, so there's a lot I don't know, guys. There's a lot I won't be able to tell you about right now, but I will at some point. So you lift it up here, and it gives you access, and there's a stay right here, just like on an old 78 phonograph. Okay, let's get you a little closer, and you can look at the amplifier. Okay, guys, take a look. Here we have the amplifier, and this one here also has the power unit, the amplifier power built into the amp chassis. On some Seeburgs, it's not set up that way. The amplifier gets some of its power from other places. So this thing's all in one unit. You look down here and you see the record carousel. It looks like a big tire, doesn't it? But this is where the records are, okay? And really kind of cool. I'm not sure how they hold them in there. I'll find out all of that. And you see there's a record on the platter right now. And I'm quite certain that this big disc is a big part of how the selections choose the record. All right, so you know they didn't have encoders then like they do now. So this thing is, you know, it's all electrical, all analog stuff. Looking a little closer at this disc, you can see there's some tracks. You can't see it, but down further in the machine there are some fingers that ride on these tracks, and these tracks I'm sure will have gaps in them, and tell the fingers through electrical signals from those tracks where this thing is positioned. I did an RCA 811K earlier, I think it was last year sometime, where it used these copper discs to tell it where to stop, and when it did the auto tune. And that's kind of analogous to this in a way, the way it works. So this will be really cool to learn about. And you can see there's an awful lot of mechanism down here, a lot going on in this thing. And I don't know anything about it. And so that's partly why I'm excited about this, right? I mean, this is a new experience for me. I've done a lot of radios, and I still love doing radios, but I'm excited to do this. This will be a lot of fun. And I think this is the machine power unit for the whole machine. This supplies power all over the place for the machine. Various voltages, I'm sure. It's very well fused. You see lots of fuses. All these connectors, a lot like John's Seeburg, a lot of connectors look really special. They're unique. You don't see duplicates or, you know, that kind of thing. You see this connector is the only one that looks like this, another connector is the only one like that one, and so forth. And what that does is that makes it easy to put together and take apart. I think that this cabinet may be a little bit more open than John's Seeburg, but I have to take another look at John's videos. I usually listen to them as I'm working on my bench, but I'm going to be watching a lot more closely now. If I remember right, there's a panel in here, or there's an arm. There we go. I think that's it right there. Whoops. Yeah, it's got to be both sides. Okay. Ah, beautiful. It would make sense. There's a latch on each side. So I got this thing loose. Let's swing her open. Oh, that's right. It swings down. I forgot. Thought it swung to the side. There we go. That is the whole kit and caboodle right there, man. You can see right here, you can see the carousel. Okay, records are held in by this strap here. I can see that. That's pretty cool. It's all suspended. It's got these suspension here. Okay, that's pretty cool. I'm not sure how this all works, but I will sort that out. But it does have the numbers and letters on it. It's got like all the combinations I think you can get. It's pretty cool. And you see the side view of this whole like encoding, I'm going to call it the encoding wheel, position wheel, whatever. And it, you know, here's the cool thing, man. It's pretty easy to get to everything in here. This will not be a terribly hard thing to reach everything. All right, I'm not sure what this, so this is like the selector, it's like a selector power mechanism. I'm not sure how all this works. I got a lot to learn, man. I'm like John from Arkansas. I don't know a doggone thing about this, but I want to learn it, and it's going to be fun. Now, you all know me, and you all know that I've been working on other people's stuff for a long time, and I'm kind of behind the 8 ball because I made promises that I should have been able to keep, but then things happened, with my wife's health and so forth that have just kind of put me behind the 8 ball for getting stuff done. So what I'm trying to say is this is going to be a while before I start it. And I know some people get bored by me putting up videos that I don't actually get to the item till later. So that's why this video is going to be in the First Peaks playlist that I'm setting up, okay? This is going to be one of those things, or future projects, playlist, that kind of thing. This is going to be something that I will get to at some point. Putting it in that playlist is kind of like making a promise to myself and a promise to you. I will get to it, and when I do, it will be the only thing I do for a long time, you can tell. But this machine is worth restoring. This is a beautiful machine in good condition, and there's no reason not to restore this. And I'm just glad that I get to be the guy that does it. It looks to me like it's set up a little bit more simply than John Seeburg, but I could be wrong about this. This whole thing here is a mystery to me, and that may be far more complicated than I ever imagined. So I'm going to have to check all of it out and get back with you on it. These speakers are great. I've been around these speakers a lot. They're really nice. Sometimes you can get by with replacing them with other big speakers from, the vintage radio era if you have to, but these look to be in great shape. They're permanent magnet speakers. They're nice setup. And this is a stereo machine. I did forget to mention that. This is a stereo machine. I don't know if John's is or not. And I keep comparing it to John's because he's the only one who's done any kind of a meaningful jukebox restoration YouTube that I've seen. There's lots of people that show you what they got after they were done, but John's the only one I've ever seen that goes through the details. I'm really grateful for that because it inspired me. So I'm going to take time. I'm going to do the same sort of thing as John, but it'll be a long time from now. So what I would do if I were you, if you're really interested in this kind of thing, enjoy John's. Go back, watch it 2 or 3 times. It's worth it. I've already watched it a couple times. Where he's on number 43 right now. I imagine he's going to get well past 50 the way things are looking, and that's cool because he's showing detail. I'm going to do the same thing when I get to this, and when I get to this, it's going to be the only thing I work on. So I'm going to go ahead and close this puppy up. Really simple, man. I love this thing. This thing is simple. There. Nothing to it. Very well made. Of course, American made. And that always makes me proud. So let me give you one last look at the front. Like I said, stereo. You see it's plainly marked. It's going to be beautiful, man. Lots of purple. It's my least favorite color, but I'm going to have to learn to like purple. So for right now, we're just going to stick this bugger in the playlist, and we'll talk a lot more about it at some point in the future. For right now, thank you for watching. This is Michael from your Western Outpost in Salt Lake City. Grooving to a little Elvis and Olivia. That's all for now.